Hi everyone, welcome back to the Pot Smoker's Bible. My name is Zion. I'm the author of the Pot Smoker's Bible, which contains the prophetic book of Zion, where I get my name and authority. It comes from the Ketuvim, or Old Testament, of the Christian Bible. I use my great uncle King James's version of the Christian Bible to put together the prophecy of Israel from the scattered bits and pieces of prophecy. I did it line by line and precept by precept, as instructed by the prophet Isaiah. And it was his question, who will put this together for me? That I answered, yeah, I will. And that's how I became Zion. It was kind of destined all along because the 54th chapter of the book of Isaiah is a really accurate description of my life. I mean, my life story was in one chapter of the Bible. Can you imagine that? I was speechless for a week when I realized that, hey, that's that describes me. And since then, I have been on the roller coaster ride from hell, trying to figure out how to fulfill my obligation to God. Because when I was 17 years old, I pledged my life to serve the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of Israel. Now, I was confused for many, many years because I was a Christian at the time. And because the Old Testament and the New Testament are together, I believed in both of them. So I was trying to serve the God of Israel, but I was believing in the Christian God, and that messed me up for a lot of years. And it wasn't until I asked God in prayer, which is telepathic communication, by the way, to open my eyes, to help me to understand the prophecy, that I started getting these, I started realizing that, hey, there's a passage in the book of Isaiah that says that the temple will be a house of prayer for all people. So the temple has to have, the temple priests have to be learned in all religious doctrine so that they can serve all religions. That's a tall order for a bunch of drugged out partiers who don't give a shit about God. Boy, what? Ah, trying trying to make potheads into priests is like almost impossible. At least on the surface of it. But I opened the temple of Zion, which is the temple of God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, first and foremost, because they, the Grey, chose the family of Abraham to be the transmitter of the knowledge necessary to reunite with them. That is the reason why Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and therefore the Jewish people, were set aside in the families of the earth. Well, personally, I believe that Abraham got high because he was a priest of the Grey, as the priests in the pre-flood age, not worshippers of deities. I don't believe that that's how the Grey ran things prior to their leaving. I believe that all came about as a result of their leaving. But I, through my many years of study into ancient history and into religious philosophy, that and also I have to put science in there because there was many years that I've studied many types of science in the pursuit of knowledge as to how the events in this book could play out. Scientific things like how can the Earth be moved out of its orbit? That's science. So I combined science, religion, and history. And what I came up with was, well, because of the prophecy, what I came up with was that the temple of Zion, the temple of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, would be a single temple dedicated to God, those who from the heavens came. Not a single deity that's worshipped as an almighty creator God, like we have in most of the religions on this planet. But not even as, I mean, Zion is a religion in that it follows the priesthood of the pre-flood age. Because we are priests of the gray, it is religion. That is our function, to be humanitarian diplomats for the gray, to be ambassadors to the gray and from the gray. But but that function of the priesthood was much more in line with government than it ever was with religion. The temples, like say, the only temples that we have to really look at, the only example that we really have to look at is the Greek example, okay? The Greek temples, I believe, were government institutions, not God institutions, okay? Now, the primitives saw God as this religious thing. But I'm talking about the Gray's perspective. The Gray didn't come down here to be worshipped as gods. They were an advanced alien species. Their temples were their government offices. Each Gray that had a temple was in charge of a particular aspect of human society. When you wanted knowledge, you went to the Temple of Athena. When you wanted prophecy, you went to Delphi. When you wanted the all power, when you wanted the big guy to make the final decision, you went to Zeus. If you were angry at your neighbor and wanted help to defeat your enemies, you went to Ares. They each had a temple. Now Diana, she was in charge of hunting. It's like um oh, forgive me, I can't think of his name. Um well, okay, Hades, and of course, he was in charge of those who had passed on, which is a totally different thing. We're going to have to go into another way down the line. We'll go into that. But for all intents and purposes, what the humans perceived of as religion, the Gray conceived of as government. And that is what the temple complex is. A reorganizing of government using the same system that the Gray used, the guild system. And my I really can't say soon because I don't know how long it's going to take me to generate enough money to get this thing going. But it will get going. I don't care how long it takes, it's all I care about. And that's the temple complex. To create an organization that has the appearance of a religion but functions as a government. Now, its function is to solve social problems within local communities. Because a nation is nothing more than a cluster of communities all banded together for self preservation, so to speak. And to build Zion, we have to build our communities. You have to start where you are before you can get to where you're going. And we have major social issues that need to be addressed. And me and the temple, the original temple, the 50 members of the original temple, and I took 7 years of our lives to have a good time, party, get high, and figure out ways to deal with social issues. And we came up with some really good ideas, which will be instituted through the temple complex. And it always begins with helping the most needy people there are: the poor, the homeless, the disenfranchised, the potheads, the drug users, the ones that nobody gives a crap about. Those are the people I care about the most. So, um, at the time when we created the temple complex, the template for the temple complex, we had no money because we were all poor. And I was just at the beginning phase of my bid to be Zion. In fact, the temple was the means for me to become Zion, because at the temple, we organized everything for the nation of Zion, the religion of Zion, the social structure of Zion. We figured out how to go from being a godless, scattered, peeled people that have no idea what they're doing to a well-oiled machine capable of solving all social problems. The temple complex is what we came up with. Now, it starts with, of course, we live in a society that has money, so it has to start with money because money is everywhere and we have to have it to do anything here. And we have to start here. We can't just magically be in Zion. We have to create it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take what little money we have, supplemented with my income from these shows, if not from charitable contributions once we get this going. Because it is a charity above all else. It starts as a charity and it creates a nation. So we will start by doing the paperwork for the incorporation of the temple complex. And then we will create individual temples in the neighborhoods wherein which we reside. And we will address the local issues of our neighbors, our non-Zionite neighbors. That's how it begins. We pool our meager resources, supplemented with what I make from the ads. We go into our local communities. We get, okay, first we set the bank up. Or, well, you can do it even before the bank starts. You go into your local community, you know that there is that little old lady down the street whose house is just falling apart. She needs your help. She's going to be scared as fuck of you because you're a pothead. But you are the priest of the gray. A humanitarian social worker from heaven, sent to end the pain and suffering of everybody else. So we'll get into how to do that next time. Submit the Grey watch over you, guide you, protect you, and keep you all from harm. And may they teach you right from wrong. May you be worthy of them. May your thoughts, words, and deeds reflect truth, good, and light, the unicorn way. Find your joy and pursue it. Make that your life's work. It'll help to make you happy. If you use drugs, stay happy and high. You have every right and reason to, and we have a lot of work to do. The world needs us. I love all of you. I'll say later now, because I'll never say goodbye.